Welcome back, everybody, to Who's Your Band? I am Jeffrey Paul. I am joined this week. Finally, Sean and I are on the same page. We are, there we go. Okay, me and Sean are together. Sean, how are you?
I'm wonderful, Jeffrey. It was great seeing your beautiful face the other day.
Yeah, that was a great show, man. We were out at Comedy Under the Stars in Linden, New Jersey at the Raymond Woodbauer Amphitheater with Rich Voss, who killed it. I thought everybody had a great set.
I agree. Yeah. It was a good time.
But it's good to have you back. It's good we were able to do this together. And I'm excited to bring in our guest today because this guy, he played in Lynch Mob. He has been part of Ace Frehley's band, and he is currently in Red Dragon Cartel. Please welcome to the show, Anthony Esposito. How are you, Anthony?
Oh, I'm good. How are you? Thank you.
I'm good. Hey, Anthony, I'm going to ask you a weird question right off the bat. Did you live on Staten Island by any chance?
Yeah, I grew up there.
Where did you grow up?
Richmond Town. My mom still lives there.
Your mom still lives there. And did you go to IS 24?
Yeah, I did.
Do you remember what years you went there? Man, we're losing you. We're losing Anthony. I need the answer to this question. Sean, you getting him?
No, it's all broken up.
Hey, we got a little bit of a technical difficulty right off the top here.
Is better?
Hey, there we go. Speak a little bit.
Hello.
There we go. Okay, so this is what everybody's been.
I had to find.
When did you go to IS 24?
Where did I go, or when did I?
No, graduate? When did you graduate from IS 24?
I think I graduated in 1980.
Oh, 1980. Holy shit. Okay. We may have been in the school at the same time.
Really?
Yes. And I'm going to throw something else at you. Another bass player, I believe, attended that school before us, though. And do you know who that would happen to be?
No.
The one and only Kazim Sultan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that he went to IS 24.
Yeah, me and his brother were actually in the same class, and I remember.
Do you remember what IS 24's name was?
Yeah, was it the Bruins?
No, Myra S. Barnes.
Myra S. Barnes, right? The Myra S. Barnes Bruins. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. What a small world. What a small world.
Mr. Bill LeVay was a bass teacher there. And he was very instrumental in why I play the bass. And remember in the 5th grade when they came to your public school and they asked you if you wanted to be in art, drama, or music as your elective, right? So I couldn't draw and I didn't want to act. So I said music, right? So then they put you in this room and this lady's playing the piano and you have to they go up or down on the notes. And it was basically just a test to see if you were tone deaf. And then if you passed that, then you got to choose whether you wanted to be brass, woodwinds, or strings. And I wanted to always be a saxophone player, but I had braces at the time. So the lady said, sorry, you can't play saxophone. I said, well, then what can I play? And they go, you have to play a stringed instrument. So I wasn't going to play the violin. I mean, you remember like the guys in the IS 24 would razz you about, they would bust your balls about anything possible. So the last thing I wanted to do was be a violinist. So I was like, okay, give me the biggest stringed instrument you got. So it was an upright bass. And that's how I learned and started how to play the bass. Originally, I wanted to be a sax player. So and every Christmas, they would let you take your instruments home over Christmas break.
That's right.
So my mom would pick me up, and she had like a 2-door Cougar XR7, 1977, and it would be
great.
Yeah, we'd be trying to jam this fucking double bass in the back seat of the car, and she'd see all these girls walking out with their violins and their clarinets, and she was like, I couldn't pick a smaller instrument. We're trying to jam this thing in the back seat because there's only a two-door. It was a pain in the butt. It was massive. But yeah, that's how I started playing bass. And Bill LeVay was my teacher.
I remember Bill LeVay. He was a cool guy.
Yeah, it was great. I used to actually go to his house, and he would give me bass guitar lessons. And then in school, I would play upright bass, and it was great. I mean, I loved it. You know, it was fun.
Where'd you go to high school? Farrell?
Yeah, Monsignor Farrell. I was student council. I was student council president.
Oh, get out of here!
In 1984, class, I went back for my couple of years ago. I went back for my 30th reunion, and like the borough president was in my cabinet when I was president.
Who was that? Otto? James Otto.
Yeah, he was my secretary in my cabinet. And then one guy is like the DA in Manhattan, another guy's like the DA in Queens, and like everybody went on to all these big things, and like I kind of felt like, oh yeah, I underachieved. Like I'm only a musician.
What are you talking about? Underachieved. You became a successful rock star. What are you talking about? They're probably envious of you. My son graduated from Farrell.
It's true. They all cornered me and were like, so what's it like going on tour when you play in Japan and stuff, you know? So it was funny.
That's pretty cool. Again, what a small world. So let's get to the music questions here, man. So I mentioned at the top of the show that you played with Lynch Mob and Ace Frehley and Red Dragon Cartel. So right off the bat, is it intimidating playing with like these guitar legends like Ace Frehley and Jakey Lee, George Lynch, Bumblefoot? I mean, you played with like some of the biggest and the best. Do you get intimidated?
You're leaving out I played with from Fire Your Death Punch for a while. Richard Fortas and Frank Ferrer, who are both in Guns N' Roses now. We had a band in New York called Pisser. No, I mean, when I grew up on Staten Island, at that time, it was all about punk rock, you know, it was all about the Ramones and the Pistols and the Clash. And so like to me, guitar heroes were a foreign thing. I never was a rock guy until I joined Lynch Mob. And I didn't really know who Lynch Mob was. I didn't know who Dokken was. I didn't know who George Lynch was. And I was 22. I was 22 years old when I got the gig.
So, Anthony, what were you listening to then? If you're in high school in Staten Island, you know, I remember
Clash, the Police, the Jam.
Oh, okay. So you were more of a new wave guy.
New wave of punk rock, the Pistols, the Clash, the Jam. I was a huge Police fan. I loved the Police. You know, I never really got into metal until I joined Lynch Mob, really. I mean, I wasn't like a metal guy, you know? And so when I played with George, it wasn't a big deal to me. Like I didn't particularly like Dokken anyway. And then we did the Lynch Mob thing, and then that broke up, and I quit that. And then I moved back home, and I started a band with the guy that I had bands with on Staten Island when I was growing up.
What bands were you in on Staten Island?
Well, we had this band called The Act, and we would sell out wherever we played. We outsold Madonna at the Park Villa one time.
Sure.
And
where else did you play on Staten Island?
I played Wave Street. Anything on Bay Street, 690, Red Spot, Wave Street, Park Villa.
Dude, I had to see you. I used to hang out at all those places.
My first gig was the Intimate Lounge.
I remember, sure.
Over by the projects over there. But no, I like playing with George. George was not a big deal for me. I mean, I didn't really care. Like, I was just happy to have a gig and not have to bust tables anymore. But then I had a couple of gig bands where I tried to sing and stuff. And then I got hooked up with playing with the Ramones guys, with Marky and Dee Dee and hanging out with them. That was a big deal for me. And then after that, I started playing with Ace. And the first concert I ever went to was Kiss at the Garden in '78. So
78 with Piper as the opening band, right?
No, I think it was New England or somebody.
No. If it was 78, if it was December of 78, me, you, and Eddie Trunk were all at the same concert, and it was Piper that was the opening act. That was 78. That was the Kiss Alive tour. Kiss Alive 2.
No, it might have been the one after that. It might have been the Dynasty tour.
Okay.
But I actually I had the last row at the Garden. And we took slide back then. You know how you took slides? You didn't have a camera phone, obviously. So we took slides. I scanned the slides into my computer. And then when I was going up to Ace's house and we were writing the Anomaly record, I showed him the slides. And he was like, that big in the frame because I was the last row without a zoom lens. And he was like, "Oh, Poppy, I didn't know you were a Kiss fan." And I was like, Ace, everybody my age was a Kiss fan. It's like
true.
And so that was kind of like I remember we did a talent show at IS-24 and we did 4 songs and 2 of them were Ramones songs and 2 of them were Kiss songs. And I ended up playing the 2 Ramones songs with Dee Dee and Marky. And then I ended up playing the 2 Kiss songs with Ace. So it was kind of weird, like playing with Ace was kind of weird because he wasn't in the makeup and he wasn't in the costume. But like we would get moments like the solo in Love Gun or like whatever. I would just get the chills because it was like childhood all over. But the guitar player I'm playing with now is probably the best guitar player I've ever played with. Jakey Lee. Yeah, he's so talented and so diverse, and he's such a great musician. He's a classically trained pianist, and he's the way he thinks, the way he writes, and his talent level is just off the charts. He's definitely the best musician I've ever worked with.
We'll get to Red Dragon Cartel in a second. Do you remember the 2 Kiss songs and 2 Ramones songs you wound up playing in that set?
I think it was Cold Gin and Deuce.
Oh my God!
And the Ramones songs were Blitzkrieg Bop and I Just Want to Have Something to Do.
That's awesome.
Well, Blitzkrieg Bop is a very entailed song to play. It's very hard. It must have taken you weeks to figure that one out too.
Yeah, and the Ramones stuff's really hard because it's all the same 3 notes. It's all like A, D, G with a beat thrown in every once in a while. But it's like the difference is how long you stay on each part is the problem. Like it may be a short A and then a long D or a long A and then a short D. Mm-hmm. So it kind of gets confusing when you're playing them, and they do you do 85 songs in an hour, it's like everything's so fast. But
2.5, 3 minutes long.
If that.
Yeah. Playing with Jake is definitely the hardest stuff that I've ever had to play so far,
So let me ask you, Anthony, how do you get in these bands? Are you hired on reputation? Do you have to audition? Like, how do you hook up with George first?
I was in a band in New York. First of all, I auditioned for a band on Atlantic Records. And they auditioned like 75 bass players. And it was down between me and Phil Soussan. Okay, Phil Soussan had already played with Ozzy and Billy Idol and, whatever. And like I said, I was busting dishes. So he got the gig, but they asked me, they're like, Phil lives in LA. He's got to move to New York. Can you help with some drummers? So I was like, yeah, sure. So I helped them audition drummers. I stayed on for a few more days and helped them out. And then they were on Atlantic. So the Atlantic PR person came to see the band that I was playing in at the time at the China Club. And she said, Ant, I'm going to be honest with you. Your band sucks, but you're really good. So let me help you. And I was like, okay. And she got me like 7 auditions in 7 days. One of them was the Lynch Mob, and I took that one.
Interesting. And how about with Ace and Jakey?
Ace was a Hell's Angel. My friend, he was an angel in New York. And I was sober at the time. I'm not sober anymore. But I was sober at the time. And this Hell's Angel was like, you need to meet Ace, and Ace needs to meet you. So I went up to Ace's house, and we just hung out, and we jammed. his friend, who was a truck driver, played drums, and we jammed a few Kiss tunes. And then we became really good friends. And then we just started playing together, and we did a small tour. I put a band together for him. We did a small tour, and then we went back and recorded Anomaly and toured on Anomaly.
Now, I think it's interesting. You mentioned Hell's Angels, and I know they had their headquarters down in the Village, where you also had a recording studio at one point, right?
Yeah, the Angels, I think, were on 4th Street, and I was in Hell's Kitchen. I was 27th and 7th. I was right by FIT in the Garden.
And you had this recording studio for what, 15 years or so?
15 years. Now I moved it because I moved. The last record I did at the studio in New York was Ace Frehley's Anomaly record. It was me, Ace, Anton Fig on drums, and we had Jay Messina, who was Jack Douglas's engineer. The first 5 Aerosmith records, first 2
Wait,
Trick
just
records,
repeat that, because you broke up for a second, because that's a phenomenal band.
Yeah, the last record we did at the studio in New York was Ace's record, and it was Ace Frehley, Anton Fig on drums, and me on bass. And
Wow.
we cut basic and everything in my studio. And then I moved all my gear. I put them in rolling racks, and we moved it up to Ace's studio and finished the guitars and the vocals up there. And Jay Messina was the engineer, and Jay engineered. He was Jack Douglas's engineer. So he engineered like the first 5 Aerosmith records and the first 2 Cheap Trick records and John Lennon. And he was a phenomenal engineer. So we moved it up there. And then when I bought my horse ranch, and now I live in Dillsburg, Pennsylvania, right above Gettysburg. And I moved the studio to the ranch. And now bands come and stay on the ranch, and I produce them and record them. I have tomorrow, I have 3 days of vocals I'm doing with this Americana style band. And then on the weekend, 2 of the guys from Guar are coming out. Band called the Mobile Death Camp, and they're coming out to track their record this weekend.
Now, when you had a Schoolhouse studio, who did you record in there? Yeah, who was some of the people you recorded? Who were some of the bands?
The Misfits, the Ramones, Joan Jett, Green Day, the New York Dolls. There were anything that had a guitar on it usually used to.
So nobody big, right? Nobody we've ever heard of.
I mean, it was a New York thing, and I had an amazing console, and everybody wanted to use that console. And I was like the last one to go for Pro Tools. I still had the tape machine from Electric Lady Studios. So I had Hendrix's old tape machine. Wow. So a lot of people wanted to come and record, and we got great sounds. It wasn't anything special. It was just a big room with a bunch of good gear in it. It wasn't like ISO booths and lounges and stuff. It was just a big square, you know.
You prefer to record? You prefer to record in analog, or you prefer to do Pro Tools now?
Analog.
It's the best, isn't it?
Yes, it sounds the best. It really shows if players can play or not. Right. It's not as much. I mean, you could cut tape and stuff, and you could fly stuff and punch stuff, but you got to play it. You know, you can't really Pro Tools. There's so much editing and stuff.
Dave Grohl did a great documentary about Sound City. I don't know if you ever saw that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
where he bought the mixing board from Sound City Studios.
That was a need. That was an 8058. I had an 8048. And the guy who produced the second Lynch Mob record was a guy named Keith Olsen, who did Ozzy and Scorpions, and he did Fleetwood Mac Rumors. He's one of the most famous producers. And he passed away a couple of years ago. But he was the house engineer, producer at Sound City. He was the one that bought and ordered the board that Grohl bought from Neve back in the day. Wow. And then Keith saw that the trends were going digital. So Keith opened the studio right next door to Sound City called Goodnight LA. And he did Whitesnake Slip of the Tongue, Whitesnake 87. He did Scorpions down in Gorky Park. He did Ozzy No Rest for the Wicked, the Zach first record. He did so many great bands. I mean, and he did some like fun stuff too, like Rick Springfield. He did Foreigner. He did Lou Gramm. He did Stevie Nicks. He's a monster. But he did the second Lynch Mob record. But he was the guy that bought that board.
How surreal is it for you to be a guy from Staten Island and to be playing with these legends and making a living doing music?
Blessed, lucky. You know, there's a lot of great players out there. There's a lot of great guys in the bars all across America on any given night of the week that are really talented. And I guess I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. And thank God I was given talent to back it up and make that opportunity count and parlay it into a career, you know. But I try to be picky with who I play with. Like I usually, you know, I play with only people that I really like and respect their music and credible people, you know. And I think I've been on really good records, you know. Like I like Anomaly. I think Wicked's a great record. I think the second Lynch Mob record's a great record. You know,
We lost you for a second there, Anthony.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Now we hear you. Sure. Sorry.
I mean, I really like the record that I made with Jake a couple years ago called Patina. I think that's a great record. It's just, you know, I'm not a mercenary. I'm not a guy that just jumps on the next thing because it pays me $5 more than what I'm doing now, you know? I got to believe in it. I got to go on stage and really want to play the songs, you know?
Do you prefer recording, you know, are you more of a studio guy, or are you more, you prefer like touring and live?
I like both. I mean, they're both great. They both have their advantages and they both have their disadvantages. I love playing in front of people. I love getting to meet people and I you know, talking to people after and before the show. And then that's a beauty of the job is you're traveling all over the world and you're in Australia and Sweden and Norway and London and Paris. And you know, most jobs, if you're not carrying a gun, you don't really get that chance, you know. And you get an immediate reaction, you get to sweat with the crowd and get into it with the crowd, and it's great. I really like the beauty of creating something from nothing in the studio, you know. I still try to do everything that I work on organically in the studio, where it's not like drummers in, you know, LA, singers in, you know, Toronto or whatever. It's got to be in the same room. It's got to be organic. It's got to be people feeding off each other. And that's what music is, you know. It's almost like a snapshot of that moment in time of those four guys in the room creating something at that moment in their life. And you can't have, like, you know, different moments scattered in different states and countries and create something that's cohesive and feels good, you know?
Mm-hmm. So if your phone could ring right now and that phone call would be that you can be in your favorite band playing for them, who would it be?
Well, I love playing with Jake. I just wish we'd play more. Like, you know, with Jake, it's Jake's band and Jake calls all the shots. I don't have any say in when we tour, where we tour, how we tour, or when we record, or how, you know, I'm just basically an employee with that, you know? So it's kind of like, I missed, you know, too, also this week, it was really weird. Most of the stuff that I did that was arenas and stuff was Lynch Mob. Right. And it was back in the day before digital recorder. It was like handy cam recorder. So we used to set up every show a tripod with a little handy cam on it behind the sound guy, and he would film the entire show. So I only had all these shows on VHS. So this week, my buddy who directed the the patina videos, he loaned me his deck that dubs to DVD. Because every time you put a VHS tape in the fucking deck, it's like Russian roulette, whether you're going to get it out or not, or the tape's going to come off, or it's going to rip or bubble or whatever. So I slammed them all the DVDs. So like the last 5-6 days, I've been watching all these old Lynch Mob videos and watching all these old, like, it was just old gigs and old bands, and even not Lynch Mob, but other bands I was in. And it was just, it was nice to take the time to go down memory lane. Like, I would have never did that had I not had the reason to burn them the DVD. So it kind of reminded me of where I came from, you know, like my band's playing bars in Staten Island. I have gigs of those, and then all the way up to, like, you know, most of the Ace stuff people have on DVDs, but before that, you know. But I don't know. I couldn't think of a band. Like, I don't know. You know, it's like there's a couple of gigs I wish I would have gotten. I wish I would have played with Billy Idol. I wish I would have played with the Cult. You know, like,
oh my God,
two bands I would have loved to have played with. Steve Stevens is a great guy, great guitar player that I'd love to play with. And I mean, those are probably two that I didn't get to do. Ozzy would be a fun, great gig. But I mean, I do love playing with Jake. I just wish we played more. You know, we only did I joined in 2015, and I think we've only done 50 gigs in 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are your 3 favorite Lynch Mob songs to play live when you were in the band?
For a Million Years.
Okay.
I used to love playing Hell Child.
Okay.
And I used to love, it wasn't a Lynch Mob song, but we did it every show. Mr. Scary, the instrumental George did from Dokken. That was always fun.
I was always a Big River of Love fan, personally.
Yeah, it's a single.
Yeah, I know. I think Lynch Mob's Wicked Sensation album was the last cassette that I had gotten from Columbia House.
12 for a penny.
When we would scam Columbia House out of, like, you know, getting 20 CDs for, you know, 3 cents.
Everybody did that.
It was 12 for a penny. That was the joke. That was the joke. You used to walk into a bar and go, yeah, I just got signed to Columbia. I got a 12 album deal for a penny.
Sure, and you should open up with that next week.
I'll do that.
Anthony, you mentioned before you like being in the studio with people. So what you wind up doing during the last year during quarantine when, like, you really couldn't see anybody? How'd you handle that?
Yeah, we couldn't see anybody, right?
I guess Anthony saw somebody.
I live in a very red area. There aren't many masks going on where I live. But anyway, and I don't think deer or cows have COVID, so I'm all right on the ranch. But anyway, this band found me. They're from Connecticut, okay? They're called the War Brothers. And they're 4 brothers, 2 sets of twins, 2 years apart. Okay? So wow. The bass player and the guitar player are 25, and the drummer and the singer are 23. And their father is like my age. And their father raised them right. Their father raised them on old Van Halen and Sabbath and, like, good fucking rock. So They're like that kind of band. So we did a 3-song EP that's coming out like this month. And then now we're working on a 10-song record, and I'm going to shop them when it's done because it's fucking incredible. The guitar player is unreal. He should be the next guitar hero. Like, if that even exists anymore in this day and age, this kid should be the next one.
Dude,
and it's kind of like what?
I was gonna say, when you get the chance, can you send us a link to this band so we could push them and promote them for you?
Sure, of course. Well, when it's ready, when the EP comes out, like we did an EP, and it was the first time I worked with them, and we did 3 songs, and they're very Motley-esque Judas Priest kind of vibe, and they were almost garagey, like almost how Motley had the Leather Records record, the first Too Fast for Love, where it was kind of sloppy but edgy, almost street vibe, you know. So we did those 3, and then they came in to do 3 more, and the songwriting grew, and they developed as artists because they went through the process of recording already. Every time you record, you get better and you grow and you listen deeper and you hear things and your arrangements are better. And so they came in to do 3 new songs, and we were like, look, these 3 new songs are so much better than the first 3. Let's release the first 3 as an EP and start a record with this vibe of, because they grew up so much going through the process. So then we did like this whole, we did 10 songs, and I'm really proud of it. It's really good. But once it's done, I'm going to shop it and try to get them a deal, you know. But they're great. I hope nothing but the best for them, you know.
Yeah, what do you think about new music? Are you a fan of Greta Van Fleet and Ghost, maybe? But what do you think about Greta?
You know, I mean, they got a bad rap because they sound like Zeppelin, but I mean, you know, a lot of people sound like a lot of people. That doesn't, you know, at least they sound like a great band. You know, they don't sound like a crappy band. If they sounded like Poison, then I'd be like, you know, we got a problem. But I like the first record. What I heard off what I heard off the second record wasn't nearly as good as the first album. So I think they kind of rushed the second album to get it out.
I like the second album. I think it's good.
I don't know.
Sean, we don't hear you. We don't hear you, Sean.
I sound more of a Dirty Honey fan than I am a Greta Van Fleet.
I like Dirty Honey. But if you're going to go in that school, in that vein, like that Blackberry Smoke kind of vein and like that, I dig Rival Sons.
Love Rival Sons. Oh, my God.
Yeah. We did a show with Ace. It was Alice Cooper headlined. Ace was in the middle, and then Rival Sons was on first. And I was watching them in the dressing room. I was watching them in the dressing room on the closed circuit TV. And then I ran outside to watch them from the side of the stage because they were so good. And like ever since that day, I've been a big Rival Sons fan. You know, they're great. But
how are they not bigger?
I don't really, you know. Well, the problem with that is radio, and there's no way for bands to get bigger anymore. I mean, you're streaming, but people usually stream what they already know. They don't stream and find other stuff, you know? And then it's like the radio stations won't play anything that's not on a major, that's not being paid for. And then there's no MTV anymore. There's no, it's like for a situation that supposedly has so many days, and so it makes it so easy for the artists to get exposure. It's so hard for artists to get exposure. So I don't. Today's day and age just sucks. Like Spotify and Apple Music, they all ruined it. They ruined music. Period.
I agree with everything you just said, Anthony. I look at an album like Feral Roots, and every song on that album could be a single. Every one of those songs would be great on FM radio, and like you're lucky if you hear it once in a while on XM. But I think this generation, I mean, it's great to be able to get music 30 seconds. You know, when you hear something, you're able to get that instant gratification of music, but nothing beat going down to Lane Music in New York. Do you remember that? Yeah. And buying a new album and getting an album like, say, I don't know, like the live bootleg of I remember Aerosmith's live bootleg, and it came with a poster in it, and you put that poster on your wall right away, and that was great. And this generation will never understand that feeling, how cool that was.
I got to say, when we released Patina, the vinyl pressing sold out in a day. So
how many copies did you put out?
1,000, something like that. Then it came in green or orange vinyl, and they sold out. Like they were gone. And
that's encouraging to hear.
Yeah, no, it seems like there is the audiophiles that are going back to vinyl, which is great. But and it seems like the only people that buy CDs are people that plan on meeting the band and getting the CDs signed. Everybody else who just wants to hear it downloads it.
Right. Right. And there's nothing wrong with download. I mean, listen, I want you guys to make as much money as possible. You know, you deserve it, but it just seems like the whole industry is backwards. Like, you know, back in the day, it used to be you made your money off of album sales. I used to work for CBS Records. I worked in the A&R department, and like now you're making nothing really off the album, and you're making everything off of the touring and the merch.
Well, they fucked it up. All the labels fucked it up because in the late 80s, they sold the idea of the CD as the be-all, end-all panacea to audio listening. They said that the quality was better, which was a lie. They said that they would never scratch or skip, which was a lie. And they opened the door by taking the huge windfall from 1987 to 92 of everybody going back and getting all their vinyl and cassettes on CD, restocking their catalogs. They made billions over those 5 years, but they opened up the door for binary code. And the fan could easily download it, easily duplicate it, and now nobody needs to buy anything. And because they opened the door for digital media. If they would have said to the Japanese, sorry, the CD is not a viable medium. It doesn't sound good. We don't want it, blah, blah, blah. And they didn't take all that money that they made on everybody going out and buying all their Kiss records and their Aerosmith records on CD. And early CDs sounded like crap. They were 16-bit. They sounded like thin. And that's why there was a whole remaster market where everybody went back and remastered their records, because the original transfers were crappy. So it was like they opened the door for their own demise. But what I do miss about the labels is they provided a function of a funnel. They were a funnel and a filter where bands that weren't good enough, they didn't get a record deal. Now, bands can record in their basement, on their computer, upload it to Bandcamp or whatever, and then you got to go through 8 million bands to find one good one. And that just clogs the artery of the music flow.
That's right. I remember because I worked it like I was basically the go-between between the accounting department and actually paying the artists. So like when you mentioned Anton Fig, I knew him because I would go over to Letterman's studio and I would actually give him the check. You know, right. It was Black Rock was really just one block over.
Yeah, so, I remember.
Yeah, and it was cool. I was a young guy at the time, but I remember also I was friendly with a lot of the A&R guys, creative upstairs, and they would always give me like the cassettes that bands would come in and just, hey, listen to this. And I remember there was a band that we signed called Pretty Maids, who I thought was great. And they never they never got up any traction. But I just remember just listening to every day, listening to new bands. It's like, how do you decide which one to sign? And
they only signed what they thought they could make money on.
That's true. But also like what you said is so relevant. And so it's like, how do you go through like the minutia and the sea of just so many crappy music before you find like the pearl in the oyster?
Well, also you got to realize too that these bands are going straight to marketplace. They aren't getting signed to a label. The label puts them with an amazing producer that helps refine their sound in a real recording studio with a real engineer. And then they go and have an A&R guy to guide their path, supposedly, through their career, and then work it to radio. And it's like they're just basically releasing demos that they made in their basement, and right, straight to marketplace.
That's right. That's a perfect way of putting it. You're listening to demos. You're listening to What's going on with you? Because like I said, connection's still a little weird. So before we lose you, what's going on with Red Dragon Cartel, and what are you guys doing for the summer?
I don't know. I mean, I went to my wife's daughter, my stepdaughter's birthday. She had 21st birthday, so we went out to Vegas for it a couple of weeks ago, and so I got to see Jake while I was out there because Jake lives in Vegas, and he just said he's like, we can't really tour until the rooms are 100% capacity, because if the rooms aren't 100% capacity, the guarantees aren't 100%. They can only pay you based on what they could sell. And right. We really need, I mean, we're not playing big rooms on our own, So it's like we need every penny to survive and pay the bus and the flights and all that and eat and stuff like that. So it's like we're not at the luxury where we can go out and on a cut rate, So we have to wait for everything to open up full scale as far as touring. And then I think he wants to do more shows to support the last record, even though the last record came out like 2.5 years ago. He doesn't feel like we worked that record enough yet. And before we go in and the conversation changes to the new album, he wants to kind of do more tour dates. So we're kind of in this spot where we're just sitting around doing nothing,
The problem that bands are starting to find is that since everybody hasn't done anything in a year, that booking rooms is becoming a problem. It's the same thing with comedians. Yeah, everyone's going out. And so it's like I think you're gonna start to see bands playing venues and rooms like they traditionally wouldn't play, because they just got to play somewhere. Because in 2022, that is going to be the year where everybody's going to be out, because I think things are going to be open at 100%.
I will say one thing though, Jeff, that I have to disagree with you. If you looked at the festival circuit this year, I think it's the most amazing lineup of artists that are playing.
It's going to get bigger. It's going to get bigger.
I just feel like everybody is just like, you know what? We don't give a shit. We'll play anywhere at this point.
That's right.
And these 4-day festivals are just absolutely monstrous. Metallica is doing these festivals where they're headlining 2 nights at a festival.
Yeah, they're doing 2 different sets. I saw that. I thought it was interesting that the original stadium tour with Motley Crue and Def Leppard and Poison, they postponed that for next year. But another one is out, and that's the one with Weezer, Fall Out Boy, and Green Day. That tour is still on. And then I don't know if I had tickets for this. Before, obviously it got canceled. But it was kind of like it was kind of billed as a mini stadium tour, and that had Rat headlining with Tom Kiefer, Quiet Riot. I forgot who else was on that show. It was a great show, and there was kind of rumors that was kind of getting back together again as well.
Well, I mean, I hope if Rat goes out that we would be able to go out with them, because
that would be an amazing show. Because
Jake and Warren are best friends.
He's a great guy. I've met and hung out with Warren. Him and Bobby are both great dudes.
But is Warren back?
You just broke up. Say it one more time.
Is Warren back in it?
I think that's the $1 million question, because you don't know what you're getting when you go out. Because I'm hearing people saying to us, "Hey, I'm going to see Rat," and it's like, what version of Rat are you getting? Is it Steven's version of Rat? Is Steven back in the back? Like, there's no information that is being released. That's the problem too. Like with a band like Great White, we had Mitch Malloy on, so you can either get Mitch's version of Great White, or you can get Jack Russell's version of Great White.
If Warren was back in Rat, you'd know about it.
Yeah, he's not in there.
Yeah.
It would be a big thing. It would be a blabbermouth press release.
Who's playing guitar for this? Is it Carlos Cravazzo?
No, he won't play without Warren.
Wow.
They got like guys I never heard of.
That's too bad, man. Because I tell you, I would to see Rat with Warren and you guys on that bill. That would be an amazing show, man. That I can see you guys playing like a PNC, and maybe have another support act on that as well, and just sell that out. That would be a great tour.
Who was the biggest?
Well, originally we were talking. What happened?
Who was the biggest dick that you ever toured with that isn't named George Lynch?
I don't know. Like, I get along with everybody, honestly. Like, nobody gives me shit. Nobody's a dick to me, so I don't really get it.
There was no diva. There was no diva, like major diva acts that had to have the brown M&Ms in the dressing room.
No, not at all. It was always a party, and I mean, we never headlined arenas. We always opened, and the headliners were always cool to us because, I mean, we had George and Mick from Docking. It's like they were in a band bigger than the headliner usually. So it's kind of like, we went out with guys like, Queensryche and Cinderella, and like good guys. They're all good guys. They're all we mostly toured with musician bands, not poser bands.
Right?
Like, it was all players, not like poser bands.
No, before we let you go, Anthony, there was something I did also want to ask you. Is that I love that we grew up in the same time, same place in Staten Island. So you hung out. Like, did you go like to the rock clubs? Did you go like to the Factory and places like that?
I actually did a blog a couple of weeks ago with Mark the Animal Mendoza, and I was dude, I was an SMF friend, and I used to sneak into like Moore's and like I forgot the name of the place out in Tottenville that I used to go see them play.
Tottenville was the Rock Palace. No, the Rock Palace was on Van Pelt. Factory, or later became Snoopy's, was the one on Sagayan.
Yeah, I've been to those. I've been to all those. And I remember I told him, I was like, I was an SMF friend. I used to sneak in and go see you guys. You guys were incredible back then, And what was the place that was? It was above Bay Street, right by the highway. It was like a big pipe tunnel.
Like the Cave. The Cave. That was on Van Duzer. Yeah.
By the highway.
I've been to Top Tomato on Victory Boulevard.
Top Tomato, I know that.
That's a hell of a gig. But this is my follow-up to that question then, Anthony. Is you went to these places, you're a Twisted Sister fan, just like me. I would sneak out on Tuesday nights because I used to play every Tuesday night at the Rock Factory, at the Rock Palace. Why don't you like playing in cover bands?
I don't like playing in cover bands because I think it stifles musicians that could be creating really good art.
Good answer.
Okay, solid answer.
It's like instead of playing a fucking cover song, go out and write your own song. Have your own voice. Every guy doesn't pick up a guitar to go, you know what? I'm going to start a Kiss tribute band when I'm 30. You pick up your thing because you have a voice, you have your own style, you have your own thing. Write your own song, and then people will come out and support you, not support a jukebox that's on stage. Like I could go to a jukebox and put money in and tell the bartender to raise the volume, and it's like watching a cover band.
What do you think about a band like Foreigner, where they'll go out and they'll have Jeff Filson from Doc in the band, but not one nights where it's not even Mick Thomas. They'll play no original members. So I wouldn't have even paid money to go see Foreigner back in the day when they were real. So why would I go pay money to go see Foreigner now with like their great grandchildren playing? Like, it's stupid. Yeah, because I also kind of heard like this rumor that that Kiss was kind of going to do something like that, where they'll give the band like to Tommy, and then someone else will take over the Demon and Star makeup, and it would just keep going out like that. And the other two guys, Gene and Paul, would retire.
Well, Kiss will do whatever the fans will give them money to do.
Yeah, people just want to sometimes see the songs or hear the songs, and they don't care really who's in the band. But sometimes you're paying to see these bands there. It's not any original members, which is crazy. Like, look at Quiet Riot now.
Yeah, I don't. I don't. I rarely go to shows. If I'm going to go to shows, I want to go see either my friends call me and they go, "Yo, I'm in town. I'm by your house. Come out," or I want to go see somebody that can do stuff that I can't do. You know, like I want to go see a guitar player that blows my mind, or a drummer that's just insane. You know, like I don't know. I have no time for cover bands. I just wish they would write their own material. And it's not a crime to have a cover band do a set that's like half and half originals and covers, you know? Like mix in your own songs with versions of covers your own way, you know? Like, but be an artist. The term's recording artist, you know, not it's like a wedding band. What's the difference between a cover band and a wedding band?
Yeah, very true. Because Sean and I, we both like covers, but we had who was that? Johnny Taylor. Who was the drummer in Typo Negative? Sean.
Johnny Kelly.
Johnny Kelly. We had Johnny Kelly.
Johnny Kelly.
Yeah,
I love Johnny Kelly.
Great dude, and he was telling us about when Typo would play like Cinnamon Girl and Summer Breeze, and it was just songs that Peter just loved to play. They were just like great songs.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, but
they put their own spin on it.
But people are paying money to go see that band perform their record, not to cover, those covers. You know what I mean? Like Typo Negative has a following, and they have albums, and they recorded some covers, and released them, and that's okay. That's not a cover band to me, you know.
No, far from it.
There's a lot of really talented musicians out there that are just, I don't know. I look at it wasted talent. You know?
Agreed. Listen, man, I wish we had a better connection with you tonight and could talk to you a little bit further, but we'd love to have you back sometime. Can you tell us a little bit what before we go, can you tell us a little bit what you got planned going ahead for the summer and beyond?
Well, I guess it's not playing with Jake because Jake doesn't want to do anything. I don't know. I'm pretty much probably going to just be working in the studio. I have a bunch of bands that are on the schedule to record, and I enjoy creating music with artists in the studio. Any day in the studio is a good day, and just doing that, I guess. I'm not. There's no other gigs. I don't have any other bands that I play with. I'm pretty much a one-man guy. So we're just sitting around waiting for Jake to say, "Okay, let's go."
Well, I hope that day comes soon, and I would love to see you guys on the road with Rana. Love to see you live in person. Anthony,
we were actually talking about putting a band together with Jake and Warren in it.
Oh wow!
Because they're best friends.
When were you talking about this?
2 years ago, and we were talking about it, and Jake was all gung ho about it. Jake was excited, and I was going to play bass. And we were going to get a singer and a drummer, and record it at the ranch, and just come out here and work on 2 songs and record it and do it all up, at my studio, and. Warren didn't want to do it. Warren was afraid. Man. Warren was afraid that being in a band might have the potential to ruin the friendship with him and Jake. Like he didn't want to put the friendship at risk by playing in a band together. So that Jake was like, "Okay, if that's how you feel, I respect how you feel, but I don't think that would be the case." And Warren was like, "Okay, well, if we play live, who's going to stand on stage left? If we play live, what's going to be the last song we're going to play in the encore?"
No, rock stars.
No, but it's not even that. It was just, I found it endearing that he cared so much about his friendship that even played the part, Well,
he's a good guy.
He's a great guy.
Really good guy. I would love to have seen that band maybe with like a John Corabi fronting it, and I don't know, Sean, who could play drums?
Matt Storm.
No.
Fuck. No.
Did you just raise your nose to one of the greatest rock drummers of all time there, Anthony Esposito?
What album has he been on?
He was with the Cult.
Was it the Cult?
What Cult album? He's not on Sonic Temple. He did the Sonic Temple tour. Mickey Curry played the drums.
How about Mickey Curry playing the drums in that band?
I would imagine it would probably be somebody like Tommy Aldridge or somebody like that.
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, my God. That would be legendary. Having Tommy Aldridge back there. Oh, my God. How good would that be?
I would think it would be somebody like that. Or maybe Bill Ward or somebody like that, like.
Listen, you couldn't go wrong with either one of them. I'd even take Carmine Appice.
Yeah, but it's never going to happen, or it's not even being talked about anymore. So,
well, let's not even say never. You never know.
Yeah,
Anthony. Yeah, pleasure having you on, man. Pleasure meeting a fellow Staten Islander who we went to the same junior high school and going down memory lane with that. And listen, thank you so much for your time. We wish you nothing but the best, man. You're a good dude, and we hope to have you on again sometime.
Yeah, hopefully next time I'll have something to talk about.
Yeah. Oh, and also send us the link of that band that you were telling us about with the two twin pairs of twins. That sounds really interesting, and we'll do everything to pump it out.
The Four Brothers. You'll definitely be hearing about them.
All right, cool. All right, Anthony, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be back next week with another edition of Who's Your Band. Good night, everybody. Take care. Thanks a lot again, Anthony. Appreciate it, man.
Bye.